Hello, I'm Ollie and this is CriminOlly, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today, another rather large book. Now, much like in my last book haul video, there are too many books for me to hold them all up at the start of this video. And reflecting on that, I definitely need to slow down again. So whilst there are some things in this video that were sent to me by other people, a couple of people in particular, there are mostly books that I bought myself, and I really need to stop doing that. If you saw my garage library tour video the other day, you know that I've already got enough books to last me a lifetime. So I think I need to calm down again. I'm certainly not going to put myself on a book buying ban or a read what you own challenge or anything like that, but I do need to stop buying books that are easy to get hold of, if that makes sense. I want to try and restrict myself to things that are a bit rarer and that, you know, if I find them, it feels like an opportunity to buy them rather than something I'm buying just for the sake of it. So there are some things in this video that definitely fall into that category of being things I was very pleased to find out in the wild. There's some interesting vintage horror, so I'm going to save that to the end. But firstly, let me go through the things that have been sent to me by other people. Let me start though with this Trash Tales. So this was sent to me by Alex. This is my publisher copy. I think I've shown the proof copy that had come through previously in a video, but this is the final edition. So edited very capably by Alex from the channel Alex Unabridged, packed with wonderful trashy stories. As noted before, all the proceeds will go to Dolly Parton's Imagination Library to help with literacy in young children. So that's an organisation, a charity that provides books to young kids to get them into reading from an early age. This is a really fun book. I really enjoyed being part of creating this book, and hopefully if you picked up a copy already, you're enjoying it too. I'll leave links in the description to where you can buy either a physical copy or a digital copy for either Kindle or Kobo. So lots of options, but yeah, I love this cover so much. I think Alex did a really wonderful job with that cover. So that was the first thing I wanted to show you. Secondly, I have some books that were very kindly sent to me by an author, and these are really lovely little things. So the author is Zachary Vonhauser, and he publishes both some of his own work and like reprints of classic horror as well. So let me show you the classic horror stuff first. I think these are really nice editions. So we've got this one, which is Owl Creek by Ambrose Bierce, an author who I've never read, but I've heard good things about. So a really nice cover there. Zachary is a tattoo artist, and you can definitely see that influence in the in that cover illustration, can't you? So I don't know if this is this? Oh no, this is short stories. So 47 short horror stories. So really looking forward to diving into that. Next up, some Algernon Blackwood. Again, I don't think I've read any Algernon Blackwood, and I really should have done. So again, a really nice little edition there. I'm guessing this is, yeah, so this is The Damned and Other Weird Tales. So this is more short stories, less than in the Ambrose Bierce volume. And then a really nice hardcover as well. So Eldritch and Antiquity, 15 Tales of Horror by H.P. Lovecraft and M.R. James. I had to check which James it was. I always get M.R. James and Henry James muddled up, but look at that really lovely cover. This is really nicely put together. So yeah, looking forward to reading this as well. It's got some nice internal illustrations too. And then the two things that Zach sent me that he wrote himself are this one, Better Living Through Bloodshed, which is a great title. Let me read you the back of this one because it sounds really good. A pile of cash with a past, a body left to rot, and a cold desperation running through the city. After a surprise windfall, Phil O'Neill thinks his luck may be turning around, that he just might make it through until summer. Unfortunately, in Atlantic City, nothing comes for free. Now it's not a question of keeping a roof over his head, but keeping his head above ground. This is just, you probably can't tell. Let me hold it up next to a paperback. So it's a really intriguing, nice little kind of slightly smaller size. So I just think it's a really cute little book. Even better though is the other one that Zach sent me of his work, which is this one. So this is it's like one of those ace double science fiction books. So on one side, it's a book called The Long Shift. And on the other side, it's The Shuffling Night, which is a great kind of creepy title. So that is really nice indeed. I can't tell if the camera's focusing properly on these. I think it is. And indeed, so this side is that way up, and then the other side is the other way up. So I think this is just so cute. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. So thank you again, Zach, for sending me the books. Zach also sent me some food. So he noted in the covering letter that he sent that he'd noticed that people quite often send me food. So he sent me some food as well, which looks delicious. So we've got some Lil Land, I can't even say it, Lil Land Jaeger jerky. Is it jerky? I don't know what it is. Yes, I think it's jerky. It doesn't. I can't tell. I'm not up to speed on my cured meats, but it's from Bavarian Meats. It's real hardwood smoked, mixed with beef and pork by the looks of it. So yeah, looking forward to that. And then this is jerky. So this is carne asada. I think grass-fed beef jerky. So that looks really, really nice as well. So thank you very much for that. Zach, I will be diving into that soon and having a bit of a proteiny snack with my food, with my reading. Right, let me show you the other stuff that was sent to me by someone then. So some books here from Erie, who has sent me books a few times over the years. One of the things she'd sent me previously was some lovely vintage Dr. Kildare books by Max Brand, and she picked up the other three. So I've now got, I believe, all of the Max Brand Dr. Kildare books. There are some Dr. Kildare books by other people, but I've now got all of the Brand ones, and the one that I've read so far was really, really enjoyable. So these have absolutely gorgeous vintage style, well, not vintage style covers, they are vintage covers. So this one, when did this one come out? So this is Young Dr. Kildare. This came out in, doesn't actually seem to have a date in it. Oh, here we go. Oh, it's in Roman numerals, so I'm going to have to figure out what it says. And I can't. I think it's 1957. So yes, this is Young Dr. Kildare, which on the back, gloriously, has got like a map of, I guess, the locales of the book. I don't know if you could see on the cover there, but the young lady who Dr. Kildare is ministering to is saying, "So beautiful, but I want to die," she said. So that looks fantastic. We've then also got The Secret of Dr. Kildare. On the back it says, "Suddenly Dr. Kildare left the hospital, changed his name and was seen about town with a beautiful socialite." That does sound like a secret, although clearly everyone knows about it. And then we've also got Dr. Kildare Takes Charge. So I need to figure out what order these go in with the other ones I've got and make sure I read them in order. And then the other thing that Erie sent me, which she said she read for Garb August last year, is this, which looks really fabulous. It's The Groovy Genius by Jack Siegel. Can a boy who loves mum, dad, baseball and the girl next door make the scene with a bawling chick and freaked out acid heads? So this is, I'm guessing, a book that came out in the 1960s. 1971. Jack Siegel also wrote a book called Squeegee, which is a good title. So this is from Pyramid Books. It's got some adverts for other things at the back. I'm just looking to see if there's anything I've read. A few things I've read actually. So Kiss Before Dying by R11, which I reviewed on the channel. And To My Nephew Albert by David Forrest, which I read recently. But anyway, this looks very, very groovy indeed. I'm really looking forward to this. What's it say on the front? "Watch out, kid, this little gal is going to steal your cool. A wild trip to turned on sex and a freak out scene with the Groovy Genius." So that looks fun. And then Erie also sent me some, so to go with the theme of Trash Tales supporting Dolly Parton's charity, some Dolly Parton cookie mix. So chocolate chip cookie mix with chips and chunks. Makes 24 cookies apparently, so looking forward to making that up and trying out Dolly Parton cookie mix. I didn't realise, but Dolly Parton apparently has a whole range of different foodstuffs, including like frozen dinners and things like that. So certainly not available here in the UK, but yeah, looking forward to trying that cookie mix. So thank you very much for all of that, Erie. Right, let's get on to the things I bought myself then. So we've got a few Commando comics, so let me show those quickly. So these have come in. So we've got the Batman of Iki Island. The Longest War. Now, I think Roy from Roy Reads Anything commented the other day that this was really good. Yeah, so it's written by Paul Cornell, who writes for Doctor Who sometimes. Apparently this is, that was a fantastic one. Oops, dropping things. Got Operation Breakout and 3 Angry Men. That is a great cover. That is a really good cover. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. Right. I've got a couple of thrillers. I've got 3 thrillers for you here, actually, that I picked up. All things by authors I've either read or am intrigued to try, that fall into that kind of lazy summer, I want a thriller I can switch my brain off to kind of a vibe. So the kind of thriller I used to really enjoy when I was in my 20s, but don't read so much anymore. So we've got Amazonia by James Rollins. So James Rollins, I don't think I've read anything by him, but he's someone I've always liked the idea of. He writes kind of adventure, expedition type novels with Navy SEALs in them, basically, I think. So that was quite fun. Fatal Terrain by Dale Brown. So Dale Brown I have read. I've read quite a few of his books, but not this one. So he was a pilot in the US Air Force who kind of on the coattails of Tom Clancy's success wrote a wave of techno thrillers all around, I think, the same character. Patrick McClanahan. The first one, Flight of the Old Dog, I think is about him like escaping from Vietnam or something like that. I can't remember, but anyway, they were quite fun, I seem to remember. And then Jack Higgins as well. So Jack Higgins, one of the greats of British thrillers. So this is The Eagle Has Flown, the sequel to his probably his best known book, The Eagle Has Landed. Eagle Has Landed is fantastic. I haven't read this sequel. I might reread The Eagle Has Landed actually before reading this. So yeah, looking forward to that. And then what else have we got? Right, so there's a bit of a stack here. Let me pull some things off the top of that and we'll go through them. Right, so I picked up this, which I'm sure I never had a copy of this before, and I kind of can't believe I never had a copy of it, because I definitely remember there being copies of it floating around when I was a teenager. So this is the novelisation of Dawn of the Dead by George Romero and Susan A. Sparrow. So sadly, this is not Susan A. Sparrow, just Susanna Sparrow. nearly got it right. This is not one of the lovely vintage 70s editions. This is a rather tacky reprint that came out recently with an introduction by Simon Pegg, which somehow makes it seem even trashier than a normal novelisation would be. But yeah, I don't think I've ever read this, so looking forward to that. Big fan of Dawn of the Dead. Not my favourite of Romero's zombie movies. That's Day of the Dead. I think that's the best one, but Dawn of the Dead, still very good. Got a couple of Robert B. Parker books. I've talked about the Spencer Mysteries on the channel before. So I've got a later one of those, The Professional. When did this come out? This is quite a late one in the series, I think. Yeah, this came out 2009. And then one from another of his series, which I haven't read at all, the Sonny Randall Mysteries. So this is Shrink Wrap. And then I was in that charity shop again that had the People's Friend pocket novels, and they still had all of the ones that were there last time I left. So I got some more, but I need to stop buying them now. So I got The Girl in Green. Could Edward help Beth unlock the mystery of the portrait and her own heart? I reckon he can. To the Rescue. Lexi has a heart of gold, but who can capture it? So if you don't know, if you haven't seen my videos on these before, these are books, novels that are published by a magazine called The People's Friend, and they sell them on like a subscription basis. So you can't go into a shop and buy them. You get sent, I think, 2 a month. So they're really cute little things, but they're kind of not really proper books. The New Viscount, What Dramas Await the Eligible Alan on His Quiet Country Estate. And Sydney Sojourn, When Donna, would Donna discover what her lonely heart was yearning for? I think she probably will, and I think it's this fellow. Right, moving on then. This is an interesting vintage book by an author who you used to see his books everywhere and you don't anymore. I don't know if they're still in print or not, or if they're out of print, but in the 70s and 80s they were huge. It's Leo Kessler, and the book is, Hellfire. So this is I can't remember the guy's real name. Leo Kessler was not his name. He was a British guy, I think. So there was he Swedish or Norwegian author called Wolf Hassel, who wrote a load of books about like the German military during World War II. They were really, really successful. I think there ended up being a bit of a scandal about Wolf Hassel, and I think he claimed to have been like a freedom fighter almost for the Allies, but actually that wasn't quite true. So Leo Kessler, I think, was trying to cash in on the success of Wolf Hassel by having a German-sounding name, but was actually an English guy. So yeah, a Second World War adventure type novel, and then also got one of the Flashman novels. So I do have a couple of those up there. I don't know if you can see them on camera or not, but didn't have this one. So this is Flashman and the Great Game by George MacDonald Fraser. So these are kind of slightly bawdy, comic historical adventures about this guy, Flashman, who's a complete bounder. He's a terrible guy, but always seems to end up coming out on top, and does have a bit of, he has enough goodness to him that you kind of want him to do okay. But it's about his escapades around various parts of the empire. So they're very humorously done, these books. Right, we are nearly done. So we're getting towards the interesting vintage horror. So let's do a couple of other things first. So this one was in a local charity shop, and it was in their like 50p bin. And it's by an author I've heard of, but I can't remember what else she wrote. I think she wrote like a sci-fi horror novel, but I can't remember what the name of it was. I don't know if it's going to say in here. No, it doesn't. Anyway, this is Woman on the Edge of Time by Marge Piercy, which sounds quite interesting. So it's a time travel like book. So yeah, does sound intriguing. So I picked that up, and it's quite a nice vintage edition as well. I then also found, for £1, so I couldn't resist it, an Adam Neville book I haven't read, No One Gets Out Alive. So looking forward to trying that one. It's a big one though. I think this might be the longest. I don't know if this is his longest book, but it's like 625 pages, so it's a whopper. But yeah, if you've read this one, let me know what it's like. Right, so here we've got the vintage horror. So let's go through this. So the first thing, in that same 50p bin that I found the Marge Piercy book, was this. So this is Arcade by Robert Max. Now, I think I read this back in the 80s, but I'm not entirely sure. When I looked on eBay, it's definitely worth more than 50p. It goes for a variety of different prices, but it's reasonably scarce. It's got a really nice step-back cover, and it's about creepy arcade machines that turn kids into monsters, basically, I think. So it sounds really trashy, really fun, definitely cashing in on the kind of moral panics around video games in the early 80s. So I'm really looking forward to reading this and trying to figure out if I've read it before or not, but it looks really, really fun. I then, when I went out to meet my dad and my sister for lunch the other day, they had some quite interesting hardback first editions of some horror stuff in one of the charity shops there. They weren't cheap, but they were actually like reasonably priced for what they are, I think. I'm not sure if they're any good or not, but I'm intrigued to read them. So the first one is Psycho House by Robert Bloch. So this is the first edition. This is the third of the Psycho books. So I believe the sequence is Psycho, Psycho 2, and then Psycho House. I think Norman Bates isn't in this one, and I think it's not supposed to be that great, but it's a really nice edition of it anyway. And I've recently read, so in July I read Psycho and really, really enjoyed rereading it. I think I've read Psycho 2, but I definitely haven't read this one. So yeah, looking forward to that. And then in the same shop, they had a nice looking Graham Masterton short story collection, which I hadn't heard of, but it looks like he published about 3 short story collections around the same time. This being one of them, Flights of Fear. So this has, I don't know how many stories in it, a decent number. Yeah, so about a dozen stories in it. When I looked up reviews of it, it looked like it was pretty good. So this came out in the mid-90s. This is actually, oh no, it's not a US. So it's priced in both US dollars and British pounds, which is really unusual. And it's got a nice, slightly cheesy picture of Graham Masterton on the back there. So yeah, I've only read one of Graham Masterton's short stories, which was Eric the Pie, which is absolutely horrible, really, really disgusting. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what this is like. And then also an author who I don't think I've read, but someone I think who kind of falls into the same camp as someone like Richard Lehman, so popular around the same sort of time, I think was published by the same publisher in the States, and that's Ed Gorman. So this is Black River Falls, which I think is probably as much of a thriller as it is a horror novel. But again, it's a really nice kind of, I'm assuming 90s edition of it. Yeah, 1996. So yeah, this looks like a fun, quick read. And then I also picked up from eBay, because I've got Psycho House and I've just read Psycho, I thought I'd better get a copy of Psycho 2. I found this really lovely. Well, it was one of those things where I bought it on eBay, having no idea what edition I was actually going to get, but got this one with a fantastic, cheesy 80s cover. So as I say, I'm pretty sure I've read this, and certainly it has a really good reputation. A lot of people really like this book. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what Psycho 2 is like, and then moving on to Psycho House. So I'm looking around. I think that is everything. Yep, that is everything. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of the books I talked about. Let me know what you thought of them. As I say, I'm going to try and slow down now, so you probably won't get quite so many book hauls for a while. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this one. Anyway, I will leave it there and say, as always, thanks very much for watching. Hope you're safe and well out there. Hope you're reading good stuff, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.